You're eating the wrong cheese. Some trigger fat gain and gut chaos. Others torch belly fat. This list could flip your metabolism overnight. I'll share with you 7 cheeses that I would avoid that trigger inflammation and weight gain, and the 5 best cheeses for fat loss that are anti-inflammatory. I don't know if you knew this, but roughly 75% of the entire population, the adult population around the world, has a lactose intolerance or lactose sensitivity. And lactose is that natural sugar found in milk, found in cheese products. So a lot of people don't realize their fatigue, weight gain, or skin issues could be triggered from the wrong cheeses. So let's go through the 7 cheeses that I don't recommend and then the 5 best options. The first cheese that I would avoid is going to be American cheese. These are processed, typically cheese slices. It's technically not even real cheese. It's a processed food-like substance. I also call them frankenfoods. It's made with milk protein concentrate, whey, emulsifiers, seed oils, and artificial coloring. It's very high in lactose, plus trans fats and preservatives like sodium phosphate, which can disrupt mineral balance in your body. It also contains casein A1, which is an inflammatory milk protein linked to gut irritation and immune reactions. You'll typically find these in plastic wrap, and it's not cheese, it's metabolic sabotage. The second cheese I would avoid would be high amounts of ricotta cheese. Ricotta is made from whey protein, which is the most lactose-rich part of milk. Whey protein is very insulinogenic. It creates a big insulin spike. And if you already have extra weight on your body, if you're insulin resistant or diabetic, you don't really want these insulin spikes. Even whole milk ricotta, for example, can have about 2 to 4 grams of lactose per 1/4 of a cup. And this is really bad news if you're sensitive to lactose. And we just established that 75% of people are. This can cause bloating, skin flare-ups, brain fog, and even weight loss resistance. And ricotta also spoils quickly, making it prone to bacterial overgrowth and histamine reactions. The third cheese is cottage cheese. Okay, not all cottage cheese. I gotta make it clear, I'm a big fan of organic, full-fat, unsweetened cottage cheese. But unfortunately, a lot of people who consume cottage cheese, they're doing it the wrong way. They're buying commercial brands, which typically have artificial agents and emulsifiers like carrageenan, guar gum, and stabilizers, and even fruit syrups. And some people do low-fat cottage cheese, which removes the fat, the naturally occurring fat from the cottage cheese, and it tastes disgusting. So what do they replace it with? They replace it with sugars and artificial ingredients. And because the fat is removed, it could create a higher insulin response. So I would avoid low-fat or flavored cottage cheese. If you do cottage cheese, go with organic, unflavored. I love the brand Good Culture. The fourth cheese I would not recommend is going to be cream cheese, especially the whipped and flavored variety. Yes, cream cheese contains lactose, plus thickeners like xanthan gum and carob bean gum that can disrupt the gut flora in some people. It is processed as well. Some of them contain hydrogenated oils and preservatives like potassium sorbate. Most flavored varieties of cream cheese are loaded with refined sugars, artificial flavors, and emulsifiers. Some research has linked processed dairy, like cream cheese, to acne, metabolic syndrome, and high levels of an inflammatory marker called high sensitivity C-reactive protein. So if it may spread easy, it could also spread inflammation just as fast. The fifth cheese I would avoid is mozzarella, cow-based mozzarella to be specific. It contains moderate amounts of lactose, about 1 to 2 grams per ounce. But fresh mozzarella has a lot of moisture, which raises risk of mold growth and bacterial growth when it sits inside of your fridge. Most store-bought versions of mozzarella cheese come from grain-fed cows, which typically are pumped full of hormones and antibiotics. It also contains the inflammatory casein A1 protein. But if it's a buffalo mozzarella or a goat-based mozzarella, go for it. But you want to be a little bit cautious if it's a cow-based mozzarella. The sixth cheese I would avoid is going to be brie, cow-based brie. I don't know if you knew this, but there's a good amount of brie that contains mold. And some people could react to this mold, which triggers brain fog, fatigue, and weight gain. And if you're histamine sensitive, it could also trigger a histamine response. It contains a good amount of that A1 casein protein, and it also contains a good amount of lactose. It's risky for people who have a mold sensitivity, histamine sensitivity, leaky gut, or candida overgrowth. Once you open up the brie cheese, it spoils quickly, allowing for these bacterial overgrowths to occur, including mold. So mold might look fancy, but it's probably not a good idea for those sensitive to these issues. The seventh cheese I would avoid is a popular one, blue cheese. Cow-based commercial brand blue cheese. It also contains mold, high amounts of mold that can trigger an allergic or histamine response. Mold and cow milk together is a double whammy for gut, liver, and immune system. The cows they use to make blue cheese, it's usually grown on industrial grains, meaning they consume industrial grains. So if you have histamine sensitivities, candida overgrowth, or any kind of gut dysbiosis, which a lot of people do, I would avoid brie cheese. Now let's get to the 5 cheeses that I consume that melt belly fat and heal the gut. The first cheese is going to be goat cheese. Soft, aged, or fresh. Goat cheese contains A2 casein, which is far less inflammatory than the A1 variety. It is very low in lactose, less than 0.1 grams per ounce in the aged forms. And my favorite part about goat cheese is that it's rich in medium chain triglycerides. About 30% of goat cheese is MCT. Why is that significant? Well, these medium chain fats, they feed energy right into your mitochondria and help your body produce ketones. Ketones, as you've read from my latest book, Metabolic Freedom, or watched on my podcast episodes here, ketones are anti-inflammatory. They support the brain. They support fat loss. It lowers insulin. And you could actually get some good ketone production by consuming goat cheese because 30% of it is MCT fats. It also contains caprylic acid, a specific type of MCT, which is great because it's antifungal, it's antimicrobial, which supports your immune system and your gut microbiome. The best options for goat cheese would be aged goat cheese or any kind of goat cheese that's from grass-fed farms. The second cheese I would recommend, and I consume on a consistent basis, is going to be sheep cheese, Pecorino Romano, and Manchego. It's higher in omega-3s and a specific fat called conjugated linoleic acid. I talk about conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, in chapter 11 of Metabolic Freedom. This is a specific fat that's been shown through research to target belly fat. It reduces belly fat, it lowers inflammation, and this type of cheese, the sheep cheese, also has a good amount of zinc. It has almost no lactose after aging, and it contains the A2 casein protein, much easier on the gut. So you can get the Manchego variety, which is from Spain. You could get the Pecorino variety from Italy. These are what I consider ancient superfoods used for generations without issues. The best type, if you want to go for the best of the best sheep cheese, it's going to be 12 plus month aged varieties from raw sheep milk. The third cheese that I would consume is going to be aged Parmesan, which is Parmigiano Reggiano, aged 24 months or longer. This is extremely low in lactose, nearly zero after 24 months of aging. It's loaded with glutamate, which helps to stimulate digestion naturally. That's why it has that umami-rich sort of flavor. It has high bioavailability in calcium, vitamin A, and vitamin B12. All of these are crucial for metabolism, thyroid, and muscle function. This type of cheese also contains small peptides with anti-inflammatory effects. The best type, if you're going to go for the best of the best for this type of aged Parmesan, is going to be certified Parmigiano Reggiano from Italy, aged 24 to 36 months. Taste delicious. The fourth cheese that I would consume is going to be goat's milk feta. This is a brined cheese made from goat, or sometimes a mix of goat and sheep. Low in lactose, high in beneficial fats like the MCTs we spoke about, high in selenium, B12, and phosphorus. The brining process also preserves the probiotics, excellent for increasing the gut diversity, the gut flora in your gut microbiome. It's easy to crumble on salads, eggs, roasted veggies, adds flavor and satiety without inflammation. The best type is imported Greek or Mediterranean brands using 100% goat milk. The fifth cheese that I would consume is actually a bonus tip here because technically it's not a cheese, but it's organic grass-fed ghee. This is clarified butter. The lactose in the casein is removed from the butter, only leaving you with pure healthy fats that build cell membranes and mitochondrial membranes. It's rich in butyrate, which is an important short-chain fatty acid that I also talk about in Metabolic Freedom that fuels colon cells, supports mitochondrial function, and lowers inflammation. Ghee also contains a good amount of vitamin D, K2, vitamin E. These are important fat-soluble vitamins that help with energy metabolism. The best type is going to be organic, pasture-raised, grass-fed. The brands that I use are Ancient Organics or Fourth and Heart. Now, I'm going to get to your questions you submitted on this topic. Before I do, I want to give you a free resource. If you're looking to burn fat, I have a ebook called my Burn Fat ebook, where I teach you 3 easy steps to lose 10 pounds in 7 days. I give you the exact foods to eat, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the fasting schedule, some bonus hacks in there. You could read this free ebook in less than 30 minutes, apply it, and in a week from now, you'll be 10 pounds lighter on average. If you go to burnfatbook.com, or if you're watching on YouTube, scan the QR code on the screen, download that free guide, get it right now. We'll also drop that link in the notes of this podcast episode. I'm also doing a speaking tour all across the world. The US, the Middle East, we're adding some dates as well for my brand new book, the New York Times bestseller, Metabolic Freedom. I'd love to see you in person. We're doing book signings, meet and greets, of course, keynote lectures around the book. And you can see my upcoming speaker schedule by heading over to benazadi.com/events. We'll drop that link down below as well. Now, let's get to your questions. What about vegan cheese alternatives? Are they better or worse for metabolism? I would avoid vegan cheese alternatives. They usually have seed oils. They usually have different nuts and seeds that mess with the gut microbiome. They usually have anti-nutrients. So personally, I'm not a fan of fake cheese and fake cheese spreads. Does raw milk cheese have health benefits over pasteurized cheese? Absolutely. If you could get raw, organic, grass-fed A2 dairy and cheese, you are hitting the jackpot there. Because when it's unpasteurized, like raw milk or raw cheese, all of the beneficial enzymes are preserved. So find a local farmer, find a great resource, and if you could find that as an option, I would definitely go with that. Is buffalo mozzarella better than cow mozzarella for lactose-sensitive people? As I mentioned earlier, yes, go with buffalo over cow. Even if you don't know if you're lactose-sensitive, that might be a smarter option for you. Can cheese affect acne or other skin issues due to hormones or lactose? It can. You know, a lot of people don't put that together, but I'll give you an example. For me personally, when I have too much cow dairy, I start to get acne. And as soon as I get a pimple, I know I'm eating too much cow cheese. But when I have mostly sheep and goat dairy, or the options I listed here, those top 5 approved cheeses, I don't have that issue. So if you have some skin issues, whether it's eczema, acne, irritation, redness, it could be from too much pasteurized cow dairy. You might want to try removing it and see what happens in the next couple of days or a couple of weeks. There you have it. The 7 cheeses to avoid, the 5 cheeses to add to your grocery shopping cart. I hope you love this lesson. Share it with somebody you know. For those listening on the podcast, thank you so much. I hope you leave it a rating and review. And to everybody watching and listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you on the next episode. And if you loved today's lesson, you're going to want to watch a previous lesson I published on how to lose 5 pounds in 5 days with 3 breakfast rules. Breakfast could be in the morning. Breakfast could be at noon. Breakfast means you're breaking the fast. But if you follow these 3 simple rules, you'll start to lower inflammation, fix the gut, heal the brain, and heal the body. Very simple to follow. The whole lesson has just been published. I'll show you a clip from that lesson coming up right now. And then what you want to do is click the video on the screen to watch the full lesson, and I'll see you there. So many people who are trying to burn fat unknowingly eat the wrong breakfast foods, which puts their metabolism in a fat storage state. When this happens, it makes it impossible to burn fat. It will be easy, and the weight comes off as a side effect from addressing these 2 roadblocks. So the 2 roadblocks are